to another episode of PEWTER.pints. And I think it's appropriate for us to start this one off with a story. 25 years ago today, two men were drinking beer on a dock on Lake Simcoe. Three men. And they decided they decided it would be a good idea that day to start a construction company. And 25 years later, here we are today doing a podcast for that construction company. And we have one of those three men on that dock here today. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome our father, Gino.
The legend.
Gino the legend, to the podcast.
So what beer were you drinking on that dock that day? I know you drank a lot of Molson Export at the time, so did I get it right?
If I recall, I think we were drinking everything that day.
Oh, fair enough.
Well, cheers to that.
Happy 25 years.
Yeah.
Happy.
The woman at the beer store looked at me like I had four heads when I asked for Molson Export. Do you have any?
Did you buy a whole 2 for it?
Yeah, that was all they had. So I had to get a 2-4 bottles, and here we are. Noticeably, there is no boat on the symbol anymore.
Actually, I found it.
You did?
Right
yeah,
at
down.
the T.
Oh, yeah.
There you go.
There you go.
Okay.
It's still there.
But this is the oldest running beer in North America.
Is it really?
Yeah. And
Since 1786?
no, I think it's running. It was early 1900s.
Wow.
I think they're at like 102 years running the same recipe, Molson Export.
Oh, I don't know. I think it's 2 of them. One for Quebec and one for Ontario.
Why did you say that?
Because I remember having in Montreal, we went soccer tournament, and there was a bar there where we ordered the export. Well, I think it gets brewed there, so it's a lot. I find it hoppier than what we have here.
Oh yeah. Well, as it stands currently, this is a pretty creamy textured beer, in my opinion. There's a little bit of a citrus. There's not too much going on with it, but
I'm not getting anything from it, really.
I just get like this creamy aftertaste.
Yeah,
butter.
A little bit, yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
It just tastes like what you think beer should taste like.
well, we grew up in
Plain beer.
high school with it,
Yeah.
and all of my buddies and all that, so it was the beer of choice.
Not to date you too far back, but you could actually drink beer in high school.
In fact, when I broke my arm, I had a cast right up to my shoulder here.
Yeah.
And I got out of the hospital, ran, met up with all the guys, and a buddy of mine, Dave Pizzell, was a pretty good artist, painted a great big Molson label on it.
Yeah, I remember it was a pretty common sight to see in our house growing up. So
Molson, yeah, it's always Molson Canadian, though. I don't really remember
No.
exports.
my kids I was export all the time and Canadian.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
It was back and forth. That was the 2 flavors. For me, it's Peroni and Grolsch at this point.
Yeah.
But it's funny what sticks with you. And it's funny to see all these years later, that one conversation that transpired on that dock leading up to where we are today. Because prior to that, give us a little bit about your background for everybody. You know, we have lots of people that are following us now, lots of people that have never even seen one of our podcasts. So, we should do definitely an introduction for you. We, you float now, right? You're not as present on sites, and we have this running joke that when you show up, if nothing was said to you, that you did a good job that day, right? There was nothing to nitpick. So we refer to you as the construction encyclopedia. If there's anything that needs to be sorted out or a conversation that needs to be had, trying to resolve some sort of issue, it's always you that's the go-to for it, or at least for myself. And I'll field lots of those phone calls. I know you'll field those phone calls, but ultimately the tough stuff gets funneled up to you. So Yeah.
Like I say, your question was, where did it all begin for
Okay,
you?
well, I started.
Wow.
Yeah, you really started over here and ended up over there.
Yeah. That's why I need a plan.
But, it's okay.
Well, I was working at a young age on the side after school, but probably about 73, 74. And then I became an electrician for quite a few years.
Yeah. And what type of, like, because you didn't do residential construction,
no,
right?
it was all commercial, industrial. Totally different from residential. How I came into residential, I didn't like residential, especially in electrical anyway. It was too repetitive, and there was. I mean, we were building machines, when the guys were bringing in stuff from Germany, retrofitting these things to our codes over here. Sometimes it came with no panel to actually be able to run this machine, so everything would get put together with all these contactors and timers and relays and everything to get these machines to do what the customer wanted it to happen.
Right.
So anyway, so from there, I always had an interest in building. I always wanted to become some kind of a building contractor. And so when I was working as electrical, I always did electrical, but I always was looking around me, over my shoulder, whatever, what all the other guys were doing. I would ask a lot of questions, why are you doing it this way, that way? And I dabbled in other things also. And so when I end up, it all came down to that I learned an awful lot just by the guys that I worked with.
Yeah.
And it wasn't so much like studying and all that, or going to school and getting all these degrees and whatever. But when it all boiled down to everything, is that I was able to absorb and see what was good and what was bad out there. I mean, you can do a lot of things the same way or the same job, but I found that every company had their way of doing things.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of figure out, this makes more sense than what these guys were doing or
Well,
whatever.
And that's the thing. Like today, there's lots of talk of building science, and there's all different ways of going about construction, to varying cost levels and complexities and everything. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to sort through all the information that's being thrown at you, what the house is requiring from you, or what the clients are wanting to execute, and you have to be able to filter through all the information and just make the right decision, right? Like no two projects are the same. Some of the tasks can be similar, but they're all very different. And I think that's the one thing that you really have imparted on us, is that ability to sift through all that information, think critically about it, and get to a decision or an end result that works. And not only works, but you're doing it safely and you're doing it right that first time, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, I was a stickler of making sure. I hate doing things twice.
Yeah.
So do the job the first time. Takes the exact same time doing it right the first time, then messing it up and thinking that you're doing it faster, because you got to go back and fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to pay to take it apart, and then you got to pay to build it back again.
Exactly.
So it's more cost effective to slow it down and get it right the first time than it is to drag it out or run through it and then have to run back again. So
Yeah. No, for sure.
So you went from being
Electrician to going on a dock back in a long weekend in August.
97.
97.
Yep.
Sitting there drinking beer with three guys, and one of the guys worked for the CT Corporation, and he says he couldn't get anybody to do any work out in the East Coast. Well, we had a few pints in us, so I just piped up.
PEWTER.pints.
Yeah, I piped up. I said, listen, because I'll go out there and do the work for you. And he goes, oh, okay, you a contractor? I said, yeah, I'm a contractor, but I was an electrical contractor. So Tuesday morning, I get a phone call from him saying, okay, come on down, I think it was the 6th, 7th floor or whatever, on Eglinton, and come and pick up these drawings. And I said, whoa, hold on. I'm an electrical contractor. I'm not a general or a contractor as a general contractor.
Yeah.
So he says, well, how long is it going to take you to open up a company? And I said, just 1 second. I'm going to call a buddy of mine. So a good buddy of mine's a lawyer, Russell Allegra. I'll put in something for him.
Plug.
Great guy.
Yeah.
But anyway, I end up say, Russ, how long is it going to take you to open me up a general contracting company? And he says, well, a couple of days. I said, okay, fine, open it up for me. And he goes, hold on. What's it called? I said, I have no idea. But let me get back to this guy. And I said, it's going to be 2 days. And he says to me, okay, fine, 2 days. Come and pick up the plans. And that's how it all kind of came together.
But that wasn't your first foray into building. That's just the inception of the company itself.
I actually did build my dad's first house. The work, well, I guess we were in recession then. Got out of school, trade school, and my dad says, well, if you're not doing nothing, we might as well build this house. We got the lot. So I said, okay, fine. So the prince came in, and we organized everything to get all these, the sub-trades or whatever, and built the first house. We built, a starter home, my dad said was 6,000 square feet.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
With what, like 12-foot ceilings, wasn't it?
13, I think the main floor 13 feet. It was a little bit different.
Yeah.
13 feet high, great big doors and
Open risers. That house was a little ahead of its time.
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah.
period.
Like it was a work of art back then. I'm not sure it's been sold or whatever, and how much of it is the same.
Yeah.
The staircase was 26,000, which is probably not much, but way back then.
About 26,000 on the staircase with
Yeah.
inflation from that point.
That's like a $70,000
Yeah.
staircase. right
Oak
now.
and tempered glass and everything,
Yeah.
and multiple levels. It was
Yeah, it was a
quite
really
some-
interesting house.
Yeah.
Cool house to grow up in, particularly as a grandchild running around.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So, and then from there, obviously rolled into, I remember like always doing, people wanted basements done and this and that, the rest of it, and just like
well,
slowly.
I guess people start asking, can you do this? Can you do that? And so you just start doing it. They
Right.
say, okay, fine. I got some time on my hand. We're a little bit slow. I'll take some time to do small jobs. I was even working hanging chandeliers for lighting companies.
Yeah.
And once in a while, you run into a client says, well, can you do this for me? And I say, yeah. And good one was I hang a chandelier and I end up doing a main floor rental
Yeah.
out of hanging a chandelier. It just, so, and people like the way I did things, the finished product. And so.
Well, all the clients, even to this day, love talking to you. And
Yeah.
so I think that's probably a part of it is you, you're a calm, soothing soul that is enjoyable to talk to. So,
Well, we did one home where the client, I put an island with a TV set because he was a big a French guy. He loved to cook,
Yeah.
but he loves soccer. And I played a lot of soccer and I coached soccer. And then he just hit it off with me. And when we were working, I was working on the house, all of a sudden he would stop me and he says, you know something? He goes, the World Cup's on. Let's sit down and watch a game. He goes, I'll open up a bottle of wine. And he didn't want me to work, and he wanted a soccer buddy to sit down and actually watch a game with him.
Was it France versus Italy? That would have been nice.
No.
So that was like one of our first jobs that we came into, right? Like that was right in the very beginning of when we came out of school.
We did so many, even in high school. I remember it was awesome in high school because you'd go hang a light, and then the client would have a case of beer for you and give it to you on the way out, and you could take it out to the weekend away, May 2-4 weekends or August long or whatever.
Yeah, we don't get presents anymore.
We really don't, yeah. The bill of the job is too high for presents now, I think.
Yeah, just shut up and do your work.
But yeah, great times. I mean, when you look back, especially once you're starting up a company, a lot of fun, a lot of laughs. You meet a lot of clients, and a lot of them end up still being your friend. Or, I mean, I walked into the grocery stores, and the guys would yell out my name, and I kind of like, whoa. And I'm looking at them going,
Kind of forget who they are for a second.
oh, yeah, like uh-oh. And then, and it's just, I enjoyed that part of the business as much as actually doing the work.
Yeah.
And seeing their faces after the finished product. And
yeah, for sure. I even because I spoke to a designer reached out last week, and there was an awkward setup that was proposed. Essentially, we would be a sub trade. It would look like he's doing all the building, and you know wants the reins to pewter essentially without having to hang all the light fixtures. And he was like, oh, it's a good setup for you because you don't have to talk to the clients. And my response was, that's my favorite part of the job. It's getting to know all these people. We go into their houses, we're building something so special and so close to them, and we become friends, family for that finite amount of time. And there's so much that you get to learn from all of them, right? Everybody has their own intelligences and things that you can steal from them, and that's the best part of the job. So like, obviously we're not pursuing anything in that respect, but yeah, 100%. So clearly apple doesn't fall far from the tree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's one thing. I mean, you guys actually surprised me when you both got out of university and college, and you said, "Oh, by the way, Dad, we're working for you."
Do you remember? Actually, we had just left Russell's. I forget for what.
We did some work in his office.
Oh,
I'm pretty sure.
Because I wasn't involved in that for whatever reason.
Yeah, we built like a little kitchen in his back.
I wasn't around for that, but I think I just distinctly remember going for a beer. I had just turned 19 or something like that, and we sat down at that bar right down the street from his office, and I said, I was a little tipsy, but I distinctly remember telling you, like, I'm going to light a fire under your ass. And it was just like, I've probably lit some fires in your front door instead. But here we are today, and things are really, I don't know. They've grown substantially since then, right? Like even sitting here, having a podcast, having Alex here, like these are special wins that, looking at it from the lens of a 25-year spectrum or whatever, right? Like just how far it came from, like the extent of the marketing at that point in time was hanging light fixtures, right?
Yeah.
From your perspective, building this company, starting it, from the dock to now, did you ever expect us to be here? Did you ever expect Dave and I to kind of come in and do what we're doing today?
Well, it caught me by surprise when I heard that you guys wanted to come in. I thought you guys would sort of go your own ways. I mean, you got an economics, and you're going into architecture and everything like that. That's what I figured. But you know, something it's a good mix too, in a business.
Yeah.
Now, I know that when I was growing the business, whatever, and a lot of long, long hours, and not seeing the family, and just just trying to put food on the table, and making some kind of money, ends meet, so to speak. Yeah, I found that when you guys came in, it did help me out. But you know something, me bringing you guys in when you were young too is exactly what my dad did to me.
Mm-hmm.
But my dad wanted me to become a hairdresser, but after 18 years of helping him out at his shop, I said I needed a change here.
Well,
It skipped a generation.
Well, weird
Let's just say
segue. I remember going to Nono's shop back in the day, and he was slammed, and we used to get free haircuts. And I guess you got fed up waiting, so you just cut my hair, and I was like, it completely blew my mind that this electrician could cut hair too.
You're good with your hands. You're good with your hands.
Yeah,
You can
right.
work a tool. You can work a tool.
I figure I can cut hair, I can cut wire. So
Yeah,
Yeah, same
I don't
thing.
think I could cut hair.
Oh, I do. I cut the kids' hair. I cut my own hair during COVID. I literally trim. I do the sides so I can, I can maintain that. I just have Alina clean up the back.
Yeah,
But
that's okay.
but in a pinch, you can do it.
yeah, you
A
find,
tool's a tool, right?
you find a nice big bowl.
Yeah,
Bowl cuts.
Yeah, so yeah, I was surprised, but happy, especially now in the end results. I mean, again, I was taking the company, I was working hard, and I grew it for so long, and then, but you guys, I'm old time. Give me a paper, pencil, I'll draw you something, whatever, and doing estimates. I'd have my sheets out, and I'd take a room by room evaluation, and get all the materials and price everything out. And then you guys come in with this computers, and which I thought you guys were a bit crazy about doing it that way, but yeah. And then I mean, something that took me a week to get together. You guys, 20 minutes, you had it down and written out and everything, and I go, holy jeez.
yeah. Well, the technology nowadays has just made things way easier. I mean, even the way things are built. Back in the day, I was talking to one of our drywall contractors about doing T-bar ceilings. We're doing a commercial project right now, and we're talking about lasers and stuff, and I was like, yeah, like back in the day, like in the 70s and 80s, if you had to do a 300,000 square foot building, you were running jet line, a string from one end of the building to the other. And nowadays, you just have a laser do it, and you work off that laser.
Well, exactly. So, I mean, times move on,
Well,
and a lot of time, well, most of the time for the better. Sometimes, I don't know.
Things always change,
I
but
like using pencil and paper, especially for takeoff. So if you're doing an on-site takeoff, I find it, I don't know, writing
Well-
on the phone, it bothers me. I don't know.
Well, I mean, I
the
know
technology is one thing, but I think more than anything, like when I look back at it, it's like, how the hell did you do all this by yourself?
Yeah.
Or like just with the support of mom,
well, I mean,
like
that's
us coming in, like I don't have enough time in my day at this point in time. And it's like, we have all, this crew that can help and support, and everybody's, competent. And it's like,
I mean, we're talking about ourselves right now, but in the beginning, your mom was a big, big part of this. I mean, she took care of the books, calling people's, following up. Things that you really couldn't, unless you want to work till midnight every night, but people don't want to talk to you at midnight
Yeah, no, for sure.
about things or problems or whatever. As far as a business, things that could arise. So, there's only 24 hours in a day, and you try to some of that 24 hours you like to leave it for sleep.
Yeah.
A personal life, spending time with
Personal.
children. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was told that your kids don't know you anymore. He goes, you're never around.
Well, she can be quite dramatic at times as well.
Well, she did put it one time. She goes, you realize that you haven't had a day off in 3 months? And I go, get out of here, 3 months. And he goes, think about it. And I'm thinking about it, and I go, holy man, she's right.
Yeah.
3 months straight, and Monday, Sunday, and just kept going. That was crazy.
Well, I remember us. It's a
Well, we've done that too.
weird.
With these guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I remember this weird. It's like an old, vivid memory of just like us storming their bedroom when we were little kids because we hadn't seen him in like 3 or 4 days. Like, I remember that, and I think because I think at that time you were still an electrician.
Yeah.
And I think you were doing high rises. I think you were doing 24-hour shifts or something like that.
It would be on a long weekend.
Yeah.
He says, we'll have you up and running
By Tuesday.
Tuesday morning. And you're going, how are we going to do this? I mean, bare floor.
Yeah.
On I don't know how many thousands square feet this was. And T-bar ceilings, drywall, electricians, guys doing all the floors. We're walking over each other, but come Tuesday morning, they were up and running. And even
All it takes is manpower. And it's incredible to see how much production can happen. All it takes is manpower and
it's
a little bit of
manpower, but
organization.
something, it's also a love for your trade, a love for your job. Someone that doesn't really love it is always looking to, get their hours in and get the hell out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's some of the companies I work for. I mean, we would finish a job, and then this was before marriage, and party to all hours of the night, and then meet there in the next morning, and start all over again. It was just like, it was a great time, but I mean, you get the right people to work with too, and that's the whole thing, is being able to have an environment, set up an environment where people want to be with each other.
I think what's really interesting to me is after all these years, right? Like there is so much time, like human capital that's being invested in this company, right? For a business to last 25 years, like you read Markup and Profit by Mark Stone, one of his quotes in there is 98% of guys in this business go broke. And to have a company that's lasted 25 years in this industry it's fairly rare. There are other companies that do it, but for every two, 98 have also left the industry, came and gone. So I think that's a testament to you and Mom and the strength and fortitude that you two have employed over the years. And I mean, like, we haven't been perfect. Nobody is, obviously, but we've gone through our ups and our downs, and we've been, being up, and then, we had this massive project, and we didn't do sales the entire time, and then came out and had nothing. Like, there's been so many lessons learned, and you guys have always been there to kind of right the ship and show us you have to fight to keep going. You have to fight for something good, and you're fighting for the family. And I think that's what's so appropriate about, I don't know. I love to fight on your behalf at this point in time.
Well, you know something, with your mom and I, what I did, she had a one approach, I had another approach with you guys. That your mom was
A yeller.
a yeller or whatever, but she didn't want mistakes. To me, mistakes were not a negative thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew you guys sometimes were gonna get yourself burnt, or burnt yourself really good sometimes, of what you were doing, the way you were thinking, or whatever. And your mom be fighting with you, and in the background later, I would say, just let them go. Let them do it. If they don't want to believe it, then they're going to learn it. And they're not going to make that mistake another time. So it was a good. You need life lessons. Put it this way.
Yeah.
We have lots of those.
And
Tons of life lessons.
yeah, and that's even in business. I mean, if you think that you're going to go into a business and everything is going to run like a beautiful sail going across the ocean and not have a ripple in it, well, then you're not going to last.
Yeah.
You know, you need the ripples,
Yeah.
or even sometimes the waves.
Yeah.
And,
Big, dirty, nasty waves.
and but you know something, that's growth.
Yeah.
That's what I call that. I don't call it failure. I don't call that not being stupid or something like that. It's growing yourself, and more people got to think like that too. You know.
Well, I thank Mom for yelling at us and planting the seed that you're doing something wrong, or at least showing us what the guiding light may have been, and then you for allowing us to actually go out and learn it.
Screw up.
All on our, yeah. If you want to put it that way.
Well, yeah, it was the independence he instilled in us, and
Yeah.
it's funny. I told this story to I think I told it to my wife the other day, or I forget who I was talking to. But anyways, I remember we had to build a bridge in grade 5 science class, and you had to partner up with someone, and your bridge had to be strong enough to hold the textbook. And I paired up with Kevin Lord, who is now an HVAC guy and very successful at what he does. And so both our fathers were electricians. And I remember going to you and saying, Dad, I need to build a bridge. I need some wood, some nails, and a saw. And you're like, okay. So you gave me wood from the garage, nails from the garage, and a saw from the garage. And I took those 3 items and a hammer, and I put them in my backpack, and I walked into the class the next morning with a saw and all this stuff, and my teacher freaked out, like, what the heck are you doing with that? And I was like, building a bridge. What are you talking about? You told me to bring in the materials to bring the bridge. You can't bring a saw in here. That's insane. I said, where'd you get that? I said, my dad gave it to me.
What else are you going to build with?
Yeah. People coming with popsicle sticks and hot glue guns.
That's so
Anyways,
funny.
you got an A+ on that, just so everyone knows.
Yeah. Always good at building stuff, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, a building. We built quite a company. I gotta admit. I mean, even with your mother, she's been a big part of it. And the beauty about it is that she's also is part of the company, but with Live Design and selling kitchen cabinets, designing, doing all the decorating, picking all the tiles and all that, and which she's extremely good at and very talented at.
Yeah, and an underrated service, in my opinion.
yeah.
Yes, and so we were able to bring a whole family together, and everybody, and just amalgamate a beautiful life for us, and even for friends and everything like that. I mean, that's
No, at this point in time, like it is, it's a family business. We've outgrown family business. This is a family and friends business at this point in time. And I think it's something special that has grown from the seeds that you planted all those years ago, 25 years ago. So,
all out of a bottle of beer.
All of a bottle.
and we're
of
still drinking it on a PEWTER.pints episode.
I think maybe you should have another beer and hit the road.
Yeah, sounds about right. So thank you for watching. This was something that I know we tried to do once prior and just was not happy with it. Did not think that we did the interview with you justice at that point in time, and I told you that. And I am far happier with this one. I think this makes a lot more sense. So
I think Alex has something to do with that as well.
well, yeah. Guys, why are you sitting there? Move over here.
Yeah, notice we're not in the same position as we used to be.
So I guess that means I can go to the cottage now.
You can go to the cottage, yes.
Yeah, you guys can both go. All right, so take care, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow along. Pewter.build on everything. Thanks for watching. Cheers.